Straw Hut Media.
Don't be alone with Jake Hogan.
Welcome to Don't Be Alone with Jake Hogan, a show where I get interesting people to work out my problems, and hopefully we all grow closer in the process. I'm your host, Jake Hogan. I'm a writer, kind of a performer, a philosopher, and I want to get closer with my friends, and I want to get closer with you. So if you have a comment or a suggestion, or just like the cut of my jib, write to dbawjaykogen at gmail.com. That's dbawjaykogen at gmail.com. And I will respond to you because I really do want to hear from you. And I need your questions and comments, and you got to do it. I'm demanding it. Today, I want to talk about my discomfort with the unfairness of the world. I find that the world is a very unfair place. And I know that. You grow up and you realize the world is an unfair place. But when you see it, when you see friends struggling, when you see people struggling, when you see people around the world struggling, you think, how can I help? And you feel helpless about it. And then you think, I'm not struggling. I haven't been bombed out of my house. I'm not starving. I'm not worried for the welfare of people I love. And I feel very, very lucky about that. But I also feel guilty that I feel lucky. So I'm trying to figure out how to do that. Now, I don't want you to say, oh, Jake Hogan's an asshole. He's, rubbing his good luck in my face. And I guess I am. So fuck you. I am rubbing my good luck in your face. No, I'm saying that I'm feeling odd about it. I have my whole life because I was born into nice middle-class family, and I didn't have tons of problems. I have my own issues, which is fine, but I'm just generally speaking feeling lucky, and I want to feel better about it because it's my lot in life. And I could give away all my money, but that's not going to happen. And I could spend all day, curing people or working in Bhopal, India, helping people, but that's not going to happen either. I need something that I can do now that would make me feel good about life, and that I could live in a better world where those who have more give more to those who have less, and people who have less don't have to struggle so much. And that's also the other thing. This society that we live in right now seems the most unfair society I've ever experienced. And that's another issue that that's on my mind. Anyway, I'm going to talk about this with a very good friend of mine. Phil Rosenthal is a fabulous writer. He's also now a performer. He goes and performs. He's on television shows with Somebody Feed Phil. It's a great show that I watch all the time because I learn about travel, I learn about enjoying life, and I learn about meeting people. You should watch that show. You should also listen to his podcast, which is called The Naked Lunch, which is a really fun podcast he does with very great entertainment reporter named David Wild. And it's really entertaining, and there's always a good guest. Good recommendations about places to go. And he's a guy who has been living life to its fullest as long as I've known him. And that is a very interesting thing because most of us don't. But he loves a good restaurant. He loves good travel. He loves good times. And so anytime you're around him, you have a good time. So he's a magnet for people. He's got 1 million friends. Too many, if you ask me. And they're not real friends like me. I'm a real friend. I don't know why he doesn't acknowledge that, because he's an asshole. I guess whatever. Anyway, I'm going to be really excited to talk to Phil, and we'll talk to him right after this.
Don't be alone with Jake Hogan.
My guest today is one of the great, great people of all time. First of all, take it, sit and take it and absorb it. Everybody loves him. Truly.
Talk to my wife.
She loves you.
All
I
right.
know this. She loves you. He is sort of the leader of a group of us who's good time. When we want to go somewhere or do something or go to a great restaurant or have a good time, you get a call. It's I'm not being sentimental.
No, but that makes me feel good.
But it
makes me feel useful.
You are very useful. And for one of the happiest good time guys in the world, he's such a complainer. He's such a miserable
But that's fun,
fucking
isn't it?
complainer.
Does it
It's
entertain
crazy.
you?
Yes, it is. But people think you're nicer than you are because you have this demeanor of Mr. Nice Guy.
I'm
but
still a person.
Of course you are.
And Jewish.
But
It comes with the territory.
But there's a certain thing in like, you meet somebody who's like, that guy's an asshole. Like you're not perfectly nice. And that's fine. That's human. That's good. But I think
so.
I want people to know
that
you're the real Phil Rosenthal. So Phil Rosenthal, thank you for being here. Phil Rosenthal. Give yourself a hand.
I've doubled the applause by
Yes, you
clapping.
have. And welcome to Don't Be Alone with Jake Hogan Studios. What do you think?
I I think it's gorgeous.
Yes.
I like how there's actual cameras.
Yes.
They're actually shooting this. You're going to put it on the YouTube?
We put it on the YouTube.
But I see that you have a feeble attempt at hiding the shit that's behind the cameras.
Right. It's not my feeble
I'm not
attempt.
talking about you.
It's not my feeble attempt.
There's a
This is what
very
the
nice boy there.
Straw Hut Media,
Straw Hut.
which we both do shows for Straw Hut Media.
That's right. Naked Lunch is a
the
Straw Hut
Naked-
Media production. I didn't realize that we'd be in an actual straw hut.
Yes, it's very nice. It's very nice. Not good during the rainy season, but otherwise,
But we don't need it. It's California.
yeah, it's good.
Is this it? This room is Straw Hut Media?
This is the studio.
This is it.
That's our
And there's other things in this building.
right. This is mostly rape goes on in this building.
Oh,
other
my
the other
God.
things that are going on in this building.
Oh my
it seems
God. That was edgy of you.
It
to
seems
say.
when I walk up this rickety staircase to get up here, which seems like I'm going to fall through when I step through it. I know that's a liability. I think of how old this building in Hollywood is and how many horrible things have happened here over the years.
When we made the Exporting Raymond movie and I went to Russia to do the thing and we were in a studio that was so spooky. There was hardly any light on. There was like a fluorescent light flickering. That was it. And it was a dark, it used to be like, it was from pre-World War I era.
Right.
I don't know what it used to be, but I walked down that hall. I said, can you tell me which room they filmed the movie Saw in? This is a notch above.
Right. All right.
Yeah.
Well, it's hard to get that look in the movies. You were experienced in real life. It's really,
It turns out there are buildings, so you don't have to do anything.
yeah, that's good. Let me just say how I know you, and we're going to talk a little bit. You're a very famous show creator. You've created Everybody Loves Raymond.
That's it.
Okay. I know, but you did other things before that, and you're doing other things now. One of the things you're doing now is a podcast, the Naked Lunch podcast, which I listen to
I
and
helped
enjoy.
create that. Thank you.
And expect to be a guest on at some point. Now that I've invited you,
Of course you'll be a guest.
what does it take?
Well, the end of the writer's strike was one thing because we couldn't talk about projects.
Right.
So that's
Not a problem with me. I have no.
I got nothing.
If I had projects, why would I be here?
But I can't even talk about like we had a pretty famous actress on and we talked about her phenomenal film career from 50 years ago.
Right.
Can't talk about them while the actor's strike is going on. That's a rule.
The good news, Olivia de Havilland doesn't have much happening
Yes.
now, so it's
Yes.
fine. The other thing, you're famous for delighting in food, delighting in travel,
Yes.
delighting in movies, delighting in music,
people. And people.
and people.
I like people.
Yeah,
For the most part,
Yeah.
most people are good and nice and sweet.
for the most part.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's only the ones, if you hear me complaining, because they're news.
Yeah,
It's like the news.
right.
The news is, oh, did you hear about these warring factions got together in this place? And then, you know what happened? They had lunch. Everybody's nice. That's
Right.
not news.
That's
News
not-
is they
right.
want to kill each other. They kill
That's
each other.
true, and there's a lot of that. There's
There
that.
is enough, certainly,
Yeah.
but it's not the predominant. That's what you have to keep telling yourself, especially times like this. That's not predominant
So
human nature.
do you look for the good
Always.
in everybody you meet, and then eventually hit a wall with some people? Or
No,
what?
it's the opposite.
Okay.
So you get the wall first,
Yeah.
and you want to react in the human defense position of, oh, he's a jerk.
right.
But you must resist this because you don't know everybody's day.
Right, of course.
You don't know what's going on with them.
Ah,
Some people are jerks.
Yeah,
I'm not saying they're
right.
not, but most of the time they're not.
most of the time they're not. But just being not a jerk
Yes.
isn't qualification enough to spend time with them necessarily.
Yes, but sometimes I make time for that.
Okay.
I do. And
right.
people make time for me.
You're beyond not a jerk. You're likable and intelligent and funny, and there's good times to be had. There's people who are not jerks and not all that other stuff.
Yes.
So and
You mean boring people?
yeah, mostly.
We were attracted. If you're like me, right? What's your number one thing in a person?
Funny.
That's it.
Yeah.
So if you make me laugh, I'm yours.
Right.
Right?
Right, right.
I'm like, yeah, I'll love you forever. Because that to me is our most underrated human
And
trait.
funny says smart. 'Cause
Sensitive.
You're sensitive.
Yeah.
Aware. There's a lot of things
Clever.
in funny. There's a lot of things in funny. Well, smart
There's
and
a
clever.
lot of, and kind-hearted. There's a mean funny.
Oh no.
But there's a mean
Yeah, there's
funny.
a mean funny, yes.
But then you try to, like Don Rickles was a sweetie pie,
Right.
even though he was.
Right, but that his bit was being mean.
Exactly.
And sometimes he was a little mean, but most
Sometimes.
of the time he was really nice. And he thought when he insulted you, he thought he was doing you a great favor and a love, and that was how he was showing love.
Most people in show business, I find, have a tiny bit of embitteredness because they thought showbiz was going to be something that it turns out not to be.
What did they think it was going to be?
Rich and famous,
Right,
and everything that you think goes with that.
right.
Life of luxury, life of ease, life of respect, life of I've made it. There is no I've made it.
Right. The validation isn't there.
Even Tom Hanks must think he's annoyed with the business.
Right.
I always say I love everything about show business except the business.
Right.
The business is the horrible part of show business.
Yeah, I would say that the things I've heard you complain about, show business is the major thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because we put on a play for free.
Right.
Because we love it so much.
Right.
Why the business just gets in the way of that fun?
Yeah, well, not businessmen. Being people who aren't businessmen necessarily.
Yes.
Although you're a restaurateur, you do business. You have a business in your
but
soul.
I don't do that for money either.
But it's like,
yeah.
that then we don't know. They're speaking another language when they're
Right.
saying we can't do X or Y. It's like, but it's good. We think, but if it's good, you should be able to do it.
You're right. I had a guy actually say to me, the marketing guy for the movie company that did the documentary, the Exporting Raymond documentary. When I was asking, why aren't they doing this? Why aren't they doing that? He said, Phil, calm down. I've seen your film. It's really quite good. But I have to tell you, when it comes to selling movies, good doesn't really enter into it. I said, that's the name of my next book.
Right.
Good doesn't really enter into
Right.
it. What I've been up to lately in Hollywood.
That's right. But it's true. Like they're figuring marketing, they're figuring their expense, they're figuring, do they have something else like it? Is there anything else that we can use to pair this with? Like, what are we booking in the theater? They have a million things going on. So I forgive them being stupid assholes.
No, but there has to be there. It used to be better, I think, and I'm
Maybe.
sure every generation has said
why
this.
would
But
you think that?
I don't know, because there were more movies about people.
They made different movies, but
Yes.
I think I would say, my dad is a writer. He
Yes,
grew
I
in
know.
show business. And
He would know Jack Benny.
He did. He made sure I knew Jack
Good.
Benny.
See?
Yeah.
Good for
absolutely.
something.
And my son, I think,
Yes.
I gotta have. I'll text Charlie. I think he knows who Jack Benny is, and I think he knows Jack Benny's biggest laughs and biggest bits. So
What a
we'll see.
great comic. For people listening who don't know, please just go on YouTube
The best.
and look at
and
Jack
let's
Benny.
just for a second.
Yes.
Jack Benny's on Phil's shirt, a silhouette of Jack Benny.
Yes.
And we're wondering
Iconic.
who would know Jack Benny. Jack Benny has not been alive for 40 years
Right.
and was famous 80 years ago. And there's a good reason, if you're listening to this, that you don't know Jack Benny. But if you can listen to something on the internet about Jack Benny, listen to one of his shows were great.
Great.
He had the ability to a very specific character.
Yes.
He was a really specific character, and he had a cadre of people around him who were also very specific characters. And Jack Benny, his thing was he was vain about his age, vain about his looks. He played violin, and he was terrible. He was enormously cheap,
right.
and enormously competitive,
Right.
and he was,
And it was all an act.
and it was all an act. And what he would do as a
But the
genius,
most self-deprecating act in history.
of course, everything about it was
Yes.
make fun of me.
That's right.
And in addition to that, he spent so much time giving everybody else laughs.
I know. It's such a lesson.
Yeah, it's the
Yeah.
greatest lesson in the
Yeah,
world.
yeah.
So there was one of his biggest jokes. There are two jokes of
I
Jack
love
Benny.
this. I love that you're doing this.
The biggest joke that everybody knows is a robber comes up to Jack Benny, who's so cheap, and he puts a gun at him. And what does he say, Phil?
Your money or your life.
Right. And the audience begins laughing. Jack Benny doesn't even get the words out.
No, but the pause
Yes.
is in and of itself the laugh.
Right. There's a long, long pause after the robber says, your money or your life. And the audience
Because it's a character
he's
laugh.
so cheap.
Yes, they
he's
know
thinking
his-
about
yes,
it.
that's
And
right.
then he literally says a minute later, I'm thinking. Right. So this is a great joke. Another great joke that I saw is Jack Benny is on, and the Jack Benny show opens with Beverly Hills bus tour of the stars.
Yes.
And there is Lucille Ball's house, and there's Olivia de Havilland's house, and coming up is Jack Benny's house, and we hear from the back, getting off and it's Jack Benny getting a free bus ride on this thing to go to his house.
At his house.
Exactly.
Genius. Do you remember The Lucy Show? The one after I Love Lucy?
Yeah.
From the 60s, I want to say. So Jack Benny's a guest.
Not Here's Lucy, but The Lucy Show.
There were two, that's right.
Yes. Don't fuck with me on this, Phil.
I really don't know if this one,
Okay.
what I'm about to say is from The Lucy Show or Here's Lucy.
All right.
Imagine this for a guest star coming on. They built a gigantic set. Why? Because he took Lucy to his vault. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
A gigantic, think about that
Right.
set.
But everybody wanted to see it.
Hysterical.
Yeah.
It was like an Indiana
Right.
Jones kind of
It was-
thing to get to his money.
On his radio show, they did an amazing soundscape of
Yes.
what his vault was going to be like, and they would go down 1,000 feet into a cavern, and there would be, old guards who'd been there for 1,000 years, standing guarding the vault, and then creaky and weird, all that stuff. The only thing you can do on radio, but here they actually built it.
but that's generous of Lucy.
Yeah,
Set wasn't for her.
right. No, it was
It
a
was for
tribute.
the guest. It was.
But also for the audience who
Yes,
been
who
thinking
loves
about it.
But
in their
it
mind.
was almost like a show business community, a family where you could be on his show, she could be on your show, and you would do this because we're all one. And there's only 3 stations anyway. Right. And so we're helping. It's like the community is putting on a show.
Exactly. It was spectacular in its
Simplicity yeah.
and spectacular in its execution
and humanity.
And I'm just really smart, funny people.
So good does enter into it because we're still talking about it. That's what I'm saying is that if it's not good, it'll just be this weekend's diversion and it won't have any lasting value.
Right. But we're saying that a whole generation of people younger than us, or 3 generations of people younger than us, don't know this guy.
So that's what we're for.
Yeah, I guess so.
That's why I bought the shirt.
So the reason I brought you here, as you know, this show is about people I like coming and talking about my problems.
I love it.
That's the whole reason.
I'm here for you, Jay.
Don't Be Alone with Jake Hogan exists.
Nice.
And my problem that I've been thinking about that I thought you'd be good to talk about with is this. I have been lucky in my life. I've been very lucky. I was born to a comedy writer.
Right.
And so it became probably easier for me to become a comedy writer or to go in showbiz because at least I saw it and I was able to sort of...
You, Nepo baby, you.
Right, I'm a Nepo baby. So, and I did pretty well. I've made some money and I live in a nice house and I send my kid to a nice school and we drive nice cars. And when there's a big downturn in the economy, I don't freak out and all this stuff is happening. And my wife's birthday is coming up and we're picking a restaurant and we're looking at things and we're figuring out what to do. And it's not money isn't really the question. It's what do we want to do? We took a beautiful trip. You helped us, a beautiful trip to Europe. And we went to Paris and we went to Florence and we had beautiful restaurant recommendations and the greatest hotels. You sent us the one in Paris. What's that? Your hotel?
Plaza Athénée.
Plaza Athénée.
Holy
yes.
cow.
And it was great, and it was not cheap.
No,
but
that's once in a lifetime, I think.
But it was
that's
fabulous,
gorgeous.
fabulous. And I am lucky.
Yes,
and the question
but you're also older. In other words, you're not some kid.
23.
Yeah, but you weren't going to the Plaza Athénée at 23.
I kind of was. I kind of was.
I have to leave. You're disgusting.
I was making Simpson producer money.
Right.
At the age of 23.
Wow.
And I had
you're exceptional.
I bought a house then and all kinds of stuff.
Wow. So I didn't. It took me longer.
So the question I have for you is, do I deserve this?
Nope. And nobody deserved this.
Okay, so
No,
what do we do?
Yeah.
Well, I agree with you that we don't deserve it.
Yes.
But then how do we accept it and how do we live with the idea that other people in this world are having real trouble?
This is a real thing for me, especially as I do the travel show, right? And there was a place, I'm not allowed to say the place because it reveals where I'm going this season and I'm not contractually allowed to say where it is. But
Netflix does not allow you to say where you're going?
I don't know why, but that's the thing.
It's not a preview of something special coming up?
That's how I see it, but they see it different. They like to surprise everybody like a week before.
Is it Des Moines?
Here's where
Is it Des Moines?
But there's a place in the world,
All right.
and it's fine. You don't have to know the exact place. But there was a place, a very famous place, a very big place, that I was resistant to go to on the show, and this is now season 7.
Right.
Even though I know it's a popular place because of the dire poverty in it.
Right.
How do I go and do my feel good, hey, you should come here on vacation show with such dire poverty? And it took me this many years until season 7 to figure out what the answer was to this. And it was very simple, actually.
Show the poverty.
Not only show it, acknowledge it, and help.
Right. Why didn't you ask me? I could have told you
could have told me that
ago.
at the beginning.
Yeah.
But everyone comes to it themselves.
Yes.
You have to. That's the best way.
Right.
As we're allowed to enjoy the world and the fruits of whatever labor we've had in the world.
Right, but that's my issue.
You are allowed.
The fruits of our labor are overpaid.
Yes.
And unfair in
exactly.
Yeah.
So how do you reconcile that? The only way is to help other people.
Yeah.
That is there is no other way.
Right.
What would you say? You could listen. If I was a saint, I would take a vow of poverty and donate everything I've ever made to the right. But it's my life too, and I have a family, and I'd like them to enjoy life too. And I feel like I can live a guilt-free life if I help other people.
Okay, let me ask you this: can I do this without helping anyone?
Nope.
Okay.
You have to pay it forward.
Right.
But there are people who don't give to charity in any way, who hoard everything.
Right.
Those people I don't understand.
Well, you know, I sometimes you could look back on where they came from and they had nothing, and they're
okay.
They
but
think
now
it's
that
gonna,
you have everything,
the little
you can
child
give,
in them thinks it's still going to get taken away at any moment.
I get it. They got to get over that.
Yeah, I agree with you, but that's
we're only here for a little while.
We can understand if we dig deep in somebody's soul. Sometimes we can
I'm not saying there's not a reason for it. I'm just saying get over it.
Yeah.
If you have a lot, I mean, it's literally you're eating a feast while the person right next to you is starving. You're not going to give them any?
Right.
That's the attitude.
It really depends on what I mean. Honestly.
I'm sorry. This is very good.
No, it's true. But I think you're right. Helping other people assuages some of your guilt.
Not all of it.
But not all of it.
Yeah.
And, you know, I'm driving through Los Angeles and I see a lot of things in Los Angeles.
Yes.
Some things are good and some things are bad.
Some things are worse in Los Angeles than the place I'm telling you about.
Right. Okay.
That I was expecting to see that I didn't see that are worse here. So, crazy. It's crazy.
I'm not going to guess because you can't say right or wrong, but I think I know some places that.
Of course, we all know the places.
Right. But I mean, it's one of those things where not only do I feel like I'm lucky and other people are unlucky and it's not their fault, but also I feel lucky in my success in, you know, it's coming to an end, but the success of show business in that I know lots of people who are just as funny as I was and never got there.
Oh God. But there's so many people funnier than me.
So if randomness is a part of the thing that we're doing, and we just won a lottery to get where we are, not saying it's completely, because I want to talk about this too. You're one of the best showrunners ever existed, and but there are other people out there that had talent that never got their shot or got their shot and it didn't work out, or chemistry thing. And luck.
Huge. Luck. I always say I'm the luckiest person you're ever going to meet.
Right.
I mean, you just said it about you.
Yeah.
But I really do feel that way. And that is, if I have a sunny disposition, it's because I genuinely feel lucky. When I get up in the morning, I'm already lucky that I got up.
You probably had a sunny disposition earlier than that. Did you have were you miserable?
I was unhappy as a child. I think I was picked on and I felt bullied. And this is such a cliche, the only way out towards friendships of any kind, including getting any kind of girlfriend, was to try to be funny. Right,
but I mean, like the Tony and Tina's wedding years.
Yes.
Were you unhappy then?
Very.
Okay.
Well, that's a whole other story. I mean, I for years we were struggling actors in New York after graduation. My joke is that, you know, I was such a big star in high school and in college, and then I went to New York and nobody gave a shit. Nobody had called New York to say, this guy's a big star in high school.
But was your disposition sour? Did you wake up every morning?
No.
Okay, but so you were
No, I was thrilled to live on my own. I didn't have a pot to piss in, but I was so happy to be independent and to have an apartment with that I shared with another guy up on nowhere's land. But
yes,
happy to be living in the city.
Right.
I understood what that meant.
And happy to be trying.
The pursuit of happiness.
Yes, right.
That in and of itself made me happy.
Right.
The fact that I was in a country, in a place, in a time of life in your early 20s where you could at least pursue what you wanted, because God knows there's lots of places where no, your father was a tailor, you're a tailor.
Right.
That's it.
Right. But it's interesting that to me that you did have that baseline. They've done studies. People have a baseline of happiness. They it's a nurture nature kind of thing, but people are generally speaking some level of happiness, and then things can affect it in one way or another. But people who wake up in the morning ready to make a joke are people ready to make a joke whether or not they're wealthy or not wealthy, or whether or not things are, there's a baseline of happiness there.
I didn't realize how good I had it until I went to college and I saw the kids who came from either broken homes or terrible homes, even abusive situations. I didn't realize, I thought, my parents yelled a lot. They were strict. They were Holocaust survivors. Had to hear about that at an early age, which no kid wants to hear. I asked my mom, can I have the 3-speed bike that everybody's getting for their 10th birthday? She said, you know what I got when I was 10? Yeah. When you're a child, your brain doesn't even...
Did she detail her experience?
Enough.
Okay. But it's interesting. Some don't talk about it. Some do talk about it.
Yes. And I don't want to get into all the stuff that she went through, but she pretty much lost her father, and that affects a person.
Yeah, of course.
And that carries on. And there's a group of children of Holocaust survivors. Why? Because those people were shaped by the worst thing that ever happened, and then they can't help but bring it home.
Right. That's exactly right.
That's just a thing.
Right.
That said, my parents were phenomenal. My parents, who I have enshrined in my work, were funny and sweet and generous. They had other problems, but geez, that's how lucky.
What was the best quality of your mom, the best quality of your dad, and the worst quality of your mom, and the worst quality of your dad?
Okay. Well, let's start by impugning them. No, I think they were sensitive, funny, educated, cared about art and music, taught me all about that, was the value system was solid, right? Funny and kind and so supportive. Like, I remember I was a kid in New York. I'm trying to make it. I have 3 lines in a bad Shakespeare thing in a warehouse in Midtown West, all the way by the FDR. Mm-hmm. The place is so cold. There's no heat in the building. There's 30 chairs. 5 of them are taken by my parents and their friends.
That's fabulous.
And I look out and they're huddled in their coats, watching. Why? Because I was in something in New York. And they came to... So that's the most beautiful...
I never met my father till I was 12. So different kind of experience. No, my father was around too.
So there's that.
That's right. So they were supportive. So then what's the bad part?
The bad part is that, like, strict, fly off the handle.
Strict how?
No bullshit tolerated. No. I would never have dreamed of cutting school.
Right.
Ever.
Right. Because
I would be killed. Honesty, you can't cheat on a test. Right. You can't do... This was like... And school was very important, to the point of, like, always taking the teacher's side over my side. And I acted out in school, a bit. And I felt like they weren't on my side in that way.
Right. But they were. Obviously.
Yes, I just didn't know.
Yeah, right.
I didn't know that even in first grade, when I had problems with the teacher, I didn't know that my mom was on my side, and that she went to talk to the teacher about her, whatever prejudice was against me. Right. She wouldn't tell me until way later. She said, I couldn't tell you because I didn't want you to not have respect for the teacher.
Interesting.
Right?
Right.
To me, I was like, Ma, it would have meant a lot more to me for me to know that you were on my side.
How did that translate to your raising your kids?
I'm never on their side, so that's a...
Were you strict with your kids, or were you sort of like, I'm going to go the other way, I'm going to be super loose? And...
In certain ways, you're shocked at the values of today's kids. I'm going to sound very old now.
You always sound old.
Yes,
there's not a moment in time that
Yes.
you don't sound like you're ancient.
I know.
Okay.
But the values are just not the same, whether it's because of social media or their peers or whatever it is.
Right.
Our values, and I'm sure our parents felt this way about us.
I mean, what?
Like what?
The big value that's different from your son and daughter.
Why work if I don't have to?
Okay.
My kids have things that I didn't have.
Right.
We didn't have money.
Right.
My kids were raised with money.
Right.
Why should they think differently?
Right.
Unless I say, hey, you know what? Not everybody gets this.
Right.
We're going to give this to this. How about helping another person?
Right.
You know, they have to be taught that. And sometimes it's not easy to teach that.
Right.
But they are both, now that they're grown,
Right.
fabulous, great, phenomenal people.
And working?
Yes.
Okay, there you go. So it had worked out anyway.
I think.
Okay, that's good.
Listen, we worry about the kids, and then they turn out great. But maybe they wouldn't if we didn't worry. Maybe a lot of things in life wouldn't be great if we didn't worry about them a little.
Maybe.
Even as a writer,
Yeah.
when you have a script ahead of you, do you worry about it?
Of course.
So do I.
Yeah.
I wish that I was like these writers who get up every morning and they write, and it's just what they do. It's like going for a walk in the morning. That's just what they do.
They're not real. That's not
And
real.
they like it.
No. That's not real. There are two writers in the world like writing.
Tell me they're shitty writers. Tell me that makes a shitty writer.
No. I would say that Aaron Sorkin likes getting up and writing.
Right, and
I
he's
think
amazing.
Stephen King likes getting
Because
up and
what
writing.
comes out is genius all the
Right.
time.
But I think everybody else
hates
hates it.
For me, it's like I have this giant mountain to climb, and it's going to be hot and unpleasant.
Right.
That's how I feel.
That's exactly right.
And I worry about it. What if it's not good? What if it's not good? But maybe the quality of things in life would be better if people worried about them. I don't like having that negative connotation
Right.
to my work.
Right. Let me ask
But
you
I
this.
do.
Think about this.
Yes.
Consider this. That worry isn't really worry. That worry is just fear. That's just fear. That's just fear. Yes.
Same thing.
Fear of
Yes.
failure. Fear of failure.
Worry is fear. Yes.
But that worry
Yes.
is not necessarily productive. You're still going to have to sit down and write the shitty scene and vomit it out and
Yes.
hate it for a
Yes.
little while and
Yes.
maybe like a joke but hate a thing.
Absolutely.
And then you're still going to have to do that. And all that worry was sort of, procrastination.
That's right.
Or pushing it off. And
Yes.
then when you finally get the first draft,
Yes.
you take a deep breath and go, okay, what do I have here? And it's better than you thought it would be.
Okay, so your advice is fantastic, but yet you still worry.
Because I'm fucked up.
Yes, but me too.
No,
but so
it
is
is.
everybody.
I'm trying very hard
Yeah.
to be more freewheeling
Yes.
with that first draft process.
Right.
And just write stuff and allow myself
Yes.
to be
be
shitty. To be shitty.
Yes.
And then know that I will either fix it or I'll call my friend Phil and have him read it and get it fixed. But it won't be the world's worst thing ever to be written.
It's like we don't want people to see us half dressed.
Exactly.
Right.
But we all
look like this.
We all look like this. And exactly. And I have a group of people I send my drafts to, and they'll say, this is good and this is good. Not
Yeah.
so much here and not so much here. And I
And you don't feel like you're burdening them with
absolutely
material?
do. But then I say, give me your,
Yes,
like,
that's nice.
Like, it's a community. So, but I would absolutely
Yeah.
send you a script
Yeah.
and say, Phil, what do you think about this? And I would feel burdened. I would absolutely burden you. But this is interesting about our relationship. I burden you all the time.
I don't
spend
mind.
a lot
Don't
of time.
consider it burden.
You don't sit. I call you about recommendations for things
I
that
love
you're
it.
not invited to. Like I'm going to.
Hey, wait a minute. I just realized
Then I'm going to a restaurant or I'm going to a thing. I'm going to a place.
that I'm not invited.
No, and I stopped doing it since I listened to your show. Now I hear a lot of recommendations on your show. I don't have to call you so much because you say things and restaurants and other places, especially in Los Angeles, that I should go to.
Are we having lunch today?
We can after this.
Look where we are.
Actually, as a matter of fact, I brought
A sandwich?
no
Oh.
a croissant,
Oh.
and I want you to eat it and tell me if it's good. I want you to do.
Is it from a bakery you like?
No, it's from downstairs. I want to know.
First of all, it's soft and nice.
Right.
Already
Okay.
from the feel of it.
Right.
It's all right.
Yeah, exactly. It's not the Plaza Athénée.
No, but nothing is.
All right. But okay.
How about that breakfast? Holy shit.
Yeah, this is crazy.
Oh my
Crazy.
God.
You recommended I go, and they bring this gigantic bread thing.
Oh
and
my God.
And the butter is like made at the table. It's insane.
They milk a cow at the table and make butter. Now, this is something that I brought you from
Australia.
Because, Matt Selman came and joined me.
My radio audience doesn't know what I'm holding, which is candy bar.
Right.
I'm holding
Little
two little candy bars from Australia. Matt Selman came with you to Australia.
He met me in a few of the cities.
Yeah.
We had a ball. You should have come too.
I wasn't invited. It's all right. So this is
Two
called
can play that game.
Caramello Koala.
Yeah.
And it's just koala because it's Australia. There's nothing about koala. Is it? Does it shape like a koala?
There's actual koala in it.
Okay. So it's got chlamydia inside every package. That's great. And then Tim Tam.
That's the national cookie.
Everybody loves a Tim Tam.
Have you had it?
I've never had it. I'm about to have a Tim Tam.
Oh, this is great.
So I'm going to have the
everybody.
Is it what did this do? Will it make me hardy and feel like I'm from people who used to be prisoners?
Describe it.
All right, so it's got this lovely chocolate outside.
Milk chocolate.
Inside is a wafer and then cream.
It's a nice thing.
It's delicious.
Yeah.
It's not unlike if somebody poured chocolate over a sugar wafer.
Like that.
Yeah, like that. And this is delicious.
They also make different iterations of it. Like there's a dark chocolate one, there's a cookies and cream one, then now, but that's the original.
That's the Tim Tam people thinking, how are we going to sell more?
Yes.
But this is the one that everybody loves.
This is the one.
Yeah, it's like Oreo.
Fact, they told me about this in Australia, that there's something called a Tim Tam Slam.
That's a sexual position.
I'm not good at it.
All right.
But there's a drink there that's like their version of Nestle's Quick, and you're supposed to make that drink and then bite a corner off the Tim Tam on one end and then the diagonal corner on the other end and sip this chocolate milk through it. And that's called the Tim Tam Slam. And so I tried doing that and I couldn't get it to work. So if you're listening, people, can you tell me? I need better instructions. It's probably online. I could probably
you
look
should
it up.
write in at dbaw, JAYKOGEN at gmail.com. That's
Yes.
Don't Be Alone with Jake Hogan.
That's you.
JAYKOGEN at gmail, and give me the answer, Australians, because we want to know
Tim
what's
Tam
going
Slam.
on. And is it better than Molly? Because that's the other thing. If you just took Molly and you had no Tim Tam at all, you might be doing
You
better.
might be slammed in a better way.
In a whole other
I've
way.
never done Molly or anything like it.
Me neither. But I heard about it.
You know what? Your next podcast.
It's
We
doing
do
Molly.
Molly.
That's awesome. I would try it. I would try.
We might get a lot of listeners.
I'm
if you-
about experience, so I would
Yes.
try something. Although, is it addictive? I don't want to try anything addictive.
No. But I do have in my bag. Hold on a second. I have some heroin if you'd like.
Okay,
to
no,
try.
that's addictive. That's exactly what I'm talking about.
Okay.
That's
You don't want
exactly what I'm. Yeah, the opium, not so much. If you're not in pain. If you're in pain, weirdly enough, not addictive. Speaking of
Anything
addiction-
else I can help you with?
No,
Jay?
I'm not done
was
here.
Was that the,
no?
the
Because
guilt
we
thing?
haven't alleviated my problem, which is I'm still unfairly doing well.
Yes.
And I am, and I'm still not good with the idea that life is this unfair.
There is no other answer, though. Think about it.
Yeah.
What possible other solution could there be than you giving of your time and charitable donations? What else can you do?
Well, what if I had a social construct in my life that people, like they did in the Middle Ages, that people were where they were because God deemed it. Like people were aristocracy because God deemed it, and people were lowly
A caste system.
serfs
A caste,
because God
yes.
deemed it. And
That
it's in
exists.
India, and it's
That's
all
right.
So, which is definitely not the place that Phil went. He was worried about. That could not possibly be it. But anyway, but so like you could have a belief system that
Yes.
allows you to say, yes, I deserve all this, and this is all fine, and I will be
And
generous.
people do.
I'll be generous amongst my serfs
Yes.
and give them.
But we're not going to fix that.
Yeah,
You can fix you.
yeah.
That's all we can do.
Well, I do do things for people, a lot of things for people, friends. I help friends. I give to charities when I can, and I do often basically when anybody asks.
Yes.
But it's so that's good. But it doesn't feel like it's enough. Like it doesn't necessarily. I should be doing more than for people. I should be spending more of my time helping people who need help.
So I went to Copenhagen in the show. Have you been there yet?
I've never. I was at Copenhagen. Yes.
Okay, so that to me is an idealized society,
right? Where
they fixed your question in a large way.
Right.
So half your money goes to taxes there. Half.
Right.
But just across the board, half. Now, I don't know what you pay in taxes, but I think it's at least that for me here.
Yeah.
But what do they get for their half? They get free education through college.
Free healthcare.
Free healthcare, the cleanest food, air, and water in the world.
Right.
You don't see a Bentley driving down the street, but you also don't see any homeless people.
Right.
There's an equanimity to the society. Everyone is friendly and nice. Everything they do, even the penal system, is rehabilitation oriented rather than you're just going to sit and rot in a cell and come out worse than you went in.
Right.
They're doing it for a greater good. This does, where does this happen in the world today?
And they believe in a societal greater good.
Yes.
They're all working towards it.
Yes.
Like there's that's where the small living movement is coming from too, Copenhagen, where people are trying to downsize their carbon footprint to actually live better for the world.
Yes. Am I ready to do that? No.
But
am I a hypocrite? Maybe.
Sure. Well, we all are.
I at least appreciate what they're doing.
Right.
I think it's great.
Yeah.
I think it's fantastic. And if that society was imposed on us right now, I'd go along with it.
If you had to devote your time to one thing right now, what would it be? Would it be political to try and make the world like that equal?
It's very hard. I think I'm too dumb to be a politician.
Agreed. Yes. No argument. Is there any argument? Ryan, is there any argument over there that Phil is not? No,
you don't
we're
have
all
to
agreeing.
agree so fast,
No,
Ryan.
it's fine. Yes, you're too dumb. Right, and
also too smart.
Okay, that's right too. Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes, I know.
You
don't want to.
I watch a lot of politicians who are like, wow, they didn't think they were too dumb, but maybe they should reevaluate.
You and I, you more than me because you're more famous than me, but you don't want the ugly spotlight. You know, you have a very happy and good presence in your life, and you're not known for being a horrible person, and I don't think you'd want that.
But I almost feel like you should, at the very least, be a great lawyer.
Yeah.
That you should understand all the workings of the law, which I don't.
Or get expertise.
Oh, yes.
You're not a great...
It's not just a figurehead where you go and kiss babies.
You're not a great cinematographer, but you could talk to a cinematographer and use that. So, I mean, you'd find the right people.
But I think if you're going to run for office, I think you need to know a lot more than I know.
I disagree. I think that you should go in with a belief system and go in thinking that
your values are enough.
And thinking that the system that you're entering is worth your time and can actually work, and that you will do the homework to find the right people for each individual issue that comes up, because you can't be an expert in everything.
True. But I also saw that half the way the system is so broken to me that half the time, if not more, of a new congressman's job is fundraising on the friggin' phone.
Yeah.
And sign up for that.
No. But
right?
But that's horrible on its face, and we should have a different kind of system for that. I bet in Copenhagen, they don't do that. So that's the other problem.
Let's move to Copenhagen.
Yeah,
I think that's what we got from this episode.
I think so
we moved
too.
to Copenhagen and make it. But listen, there's other societies like that too. Or at least if they're not like that, they feel like that.
Let me ask you a totally separate question that has nothing to do with any of this.
Where are we going to eat after?
You're going to tell me.
Oh, okay.
You think I'm going to tell you where we're going to eat?
We have a view here at Straw Hut.
There was
looking at a restaurant.
There was a pita restaurant that was on Melrose that you took me to one time that was delicious. That had
Ta'im Grill.
Maybe that was it.
It's very dark inside
Yeah. So we could go there. But there's a lot of good things around.
But we're going to walk to it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we can walk.
So here's the question I have. I worked with you briefly on Loves Raymond, but you're famous for, and you were with me, being one of the great showrunners of all time.
Oh, thanks.
Okay. So every time I give you a compliment, you do this. I'm going to imitate you. Give me a compliment.
You're fantastic.
Oh, thank you. Like you're shy away. Like for a moment, you can't take it.
Because it's unbelievably sweet and very nice. You don't have to say that. It's.
I'm not. I'm being real.
Yes,
it's famous.
I know.
Okay.
I appreciate. Right. I really do.
Anyway, so My question, because here's what you did. You listened to what people had to say, you listened to pitches, but you were decisive and you made decisions.
Have
and you
to
said, and you said, I like it this way, let's go this direction. And people followed you that way.
My favorite thing that people say back to me is, you're in the room with him and you're saying all these things, and then all of a sudden he'll go, I like what I said.
Right, but that's everybody.
But listen, you're driving the car.
Right.
You're the driver.
Right. You get to pick the direction.
Yes.
Absolutely. But you also planned ahead, and people had stories over the summer, and you had lunches every day. And
Very important.
And the room wasn't, late nights weren't a thing a lot of the time.
Very important.
Very few.
Because I worked in places, as you have, where...
Well, but where, I was my question. Where was the shitty place you worked? Because
everywhere else.
All right. But I mean, was Coach shitty?
There were hours where you had to be late.
All right. Does Down the Shore shitty?
There were hours where you had to be late.
All right. But I mean, like...
I knew there was a way to do it while I'm on the other shows, that it didn't have to be this way. And you're at the mercy of the guy who doesn't want to go home for whatever reason.
Right.
Or doesn't know how to make this work so that, and I figured
or their process is just, I have to go over every possibility before I decide.
It's like a director who shoots 70 takes.
Right.
Because they make sure they have every angle in the thing.
Right.
I'm not going to use that angle. Why would I shoot that?
That's why you hate Stanley Kubrick so much.
I love him.
I know you do. So that's from pointing out. Maybe there's a reason why some people do that.
I got to ask Jack Nicholson about that very thing. I got to talk to Jack Nicholson about making The Shining.
Right.
I say, how do you, as one of the great actors in the world, put up with 70 takes? He goes, there's a, if you're working with a master like that, you understand that he's going to get it. And he has his process. Right. And so you can fight it or you can relax and just do it.
Right.
I said to him once, this is Nicholson talking, I said to Kubrick once, Stanley, I don't know how else to do it. And he goes, I know, let's just keep going. He goes, do you know what it is that can you tell me what you're looking for? Because maybe I can do it that way. He goes, I don't. He says, so how will you know when we have it? And Stanley Kubrick said, when it's interesting. Wow. That's like, you realize that every shot in every Kubrick film is interesting at the very least.
Right.
The shot is interesting. Everything is this perfectly composed photograph that you could take any frame of and put on your wall because it's a brilliant photograph. And then it has meaning as well. So I love that. It's not my process. No. I don't have the patience for that.
Right.
Or the smarts
for
and
that's not the kind of thing that makes a writer's room work at a sitcom either, because you're going to be doing
people who
live in front of an audience.
You got to go.
Yeah.
We got to go, people. We have a limit. We have 4 days to make a show. We don't have 70 takes.
So did you, like, I had a lot of shows I worked on, some with great showrunners and some with terrible showrunners, and that for me taught me what I didn't want to do and what I wanted to do.
You learn just as much from what not to do as you do from what to do.
Right, but you took it beyond most people in that era making shows. You were doing even more.
I did invent a system.
Yeah.
The system was, the first season is rough for everybody, and even we had a couple of late nights, maybe even had to come in on a weekend, because you're shaping what the show is. It's like building a giant thing from nothing. But now, here comes season 2. We know what the show is. We know what works a little bit more now. So I assigned this story?
Yes. That's
assigned every writer a story before we left.
Right.
And we were going to stay an extra 2 weeks. Now we're exhausted.
Right.
But we're going to stay an extra 2 weeks, which is going to cut into our 2-month hiatus.
Correct.
Before we come in for pre-production, which is a month before the show starts shooting.
Right.
But 2 months is your free time. I'm taking away 2 weeks of your free time. Why? Everyone is going to leave for their hiatus with a story that has been broken, meaning we've all approved this story. We've all signed off on the outline of that story and all the beats. And now, to make it even worse for you, you're going to write that script over your vacation.
Right.
But the hard part is over.
Right.
Because during that 2 weeks, So we come in with 1 month to go before the show starts shooting season 2. We come in with 10 first drafts.
That's amazing.
And now we're spending that month not trying for the first time to come up with what stories everybody's going to do, but by the end of that month of pre-production, we have 10 finished scripts and people are already starting on their next ones.
Right.
We're so ahead.
That's so great.
That's the only way.
It's so great. Well, that's not the only way. Most people don't do it that way.
No, but the only way to stay ahead.
Yeah, that's fact.
That I could think of after having done it for 5 years on other people's shows.
You know who else's life you make easier? Everybody's. You make all your production stuff. Everybody knows what's coming. Everybody knows what's happening. If they have to get some weird prop or cast some great actor, they've got a head start like nobody's business. It's fabulous.
It's preparation. You ever work on SNL?
No.
Have you ever been there?
1,000 times.
Okay. Yeah. You see how they run that thing? It's a miracle that anything is ever funny.
Right.
The way it's run.
They love seat of your pants late at night,
seat of
3
your
in
pants.
the morning.
They're lucky they have pants. The Tuesday night is the only writing day.
Right.
That show's a friggin' miracle.
Right. Well, who doesn't pre-write their stuff and then come in Tuesday with stuff? That's the only. If I was a writer
like that.
If I was a writer on SNL, that's all I'd be doing.
The great sketch last week that was Nate Bargatze, the George Washington sketch,
right? Which
is one of the best sketches that I think they've ever done.
Right.
Yeah. The guy said, "I've been sitting on that for a long time because he was waiting for the right guy, and Nate was the perfect guy to do it, and it was great." But that's what I'm saying. There's no substitute for preparation.
The best things aren't just thrown at a wall.
No, but I mean, I'm sure that some of the funniest things ever in life on that show, like the cowbell.
Yeah.
Will Ferrell did not reveal that he was going to wear a shirt that was 3 sizes too small until shoot night, which is why everyone's laughing. Because as he bangs the bell, his shirt is riding up and you get his belly. Hysterical. But those are so few and far between, the moments like that.
Yeah.
Make it good by design, not by accident.
True. Saturday Night Live is always been not a dream place to work because I've never worked it, but it's always been fascinating to me. And I've hung around it for the last 30 years.
Yes,
because
you know
I love
a lot of people who...
I know a lot of people there.
Yeah.
And it seems exciting to work at 30 Rock, exciting to do a live show and all that stuff, but it also seems miserable, and there's so many miserable people there.
They are, because their sketches got cut between dress rehearsal and show, and so there's nothing to show for it.
Even when your sketch is on, I watched George Meyer, from this, just hating.
Yes, because if the switcher doesn't get it right, your sketch is ruined.
Everything.
Yes,
I watched Bob Odenkirk furious.
Yes, of course.
It's just
Larry David quit.
Yeah, it's very hard.
It is hard. I got to work there for 2 weeks. One was the first time Ray hosted. Right. I got to go, and we got 2 sketches on. I was shocked that they even, and so we loved it.
Right.
Second time, I don't know what happened. No sketches on. And we didn't like that experience at all.
Yeah.
But that's show business.
Yeah, that is. You agree to do it.
Yes.
You agree to do it. It's fascinating to watch. It's a fascinating process, but it's not a process that I could do. Exactly. And I'm from improvisation. I get on stage every week and do horrible, sketches.
You still do it.
I still do it.
Oh, I have to come.
Where is it? There's a theater called the Fanatic Salon on Venice and Sawtelle, and my group meets once a month, and we do an evening of improv. And I'm not unafraid to be bad or whatever it is.
Yeah.
I like that.
That's great.
That thing, but it's not the same thing as writing, and it's not the same thing that I would put out for the world to see.
The best class I ever took in anything was Groundlings on this street.
Yeah, down the street. I'm a Groundlings guy. I used to.
It's phenomenal. I did in New York. I took a class or 2, and I loved it so much. I think everyone in life should take an improvisation class, because life is an improvisation.
What are the big takeaways that you took from the improv?
Well, the whole philosophy can be boiled down to 2 words.
Okay.
Yes and.
Right.
So yes and is actually a philosophy of life. When you're improvising with someone, you have to acknowledge what the other person is giving you. Like if you're saying, I'm a fireman, I'm here to inspect your building. I have to go, come in, Mr. Fireman. Not, you're not a fireman. That's the end of a sketch.
Right.
So you have to acknowledge what the other person is giving you in the sketch. And the and part means add to it. So that's life.
Right.
Accept what's given you and add to it. Make it better.
But
I love that.
how about this lesson that I took away?
Yes.
Any idea could be a good idea or a bad idea. Every single idea could be a good idea or a bad idea. It's all the execution.
Absolutely.
But
And
that-
how
you don't know
often do
that.
you see that?
No, you don't know that until you're in improv and realize, okay, somebody makes a suggestion of a place or a thing or a word.
Yes.
And that could be the greatest. You watch
Yes.
somebody be brilliant with it and you watch another person be horrible with it and you go like, okay.
My wife and I were just talking about that because we just watched a movie called No Hard Feelings. It's on Netflix now. Did you watch it?
I did watch it.
Okay. I think it's a stupid premise and an even dated premise. And like, are you kidding me with that premise?
Right.
Executed perfectly.
I would give it a B. I don't think perfectly, but I would give it a B. But I thought it was good.
A lot of funny stuff.
A lot of funny stuff.
A lot of great jokes. Even some line-to-line writing was really good.
Grounded in a way that those movies generally aren't grounded.
Exactly.
Yeah.
With real feeling and real thing. But the premise is really, like, that's, to me, is a bad idea. I'm like, how? And apparently it's a true story.
They skip over it very quickly, which is this girl will get a car that she needs if she has sex with these parents' kid. Like there's two adult parents want to have their kid who's a virgin not be a virgin, so they pay this girl who's not a prostitute, but who just says, okay, I need the car, I'll do it.
That's called a prostitute.
Right, but they skip over that fast.
Well, they have a tiny scene of justification.
Right.
But my wife and I are looking at each other like, these are the values? This is what we're saying? This is the premise of a comedy for the people? But
even in the hookup culture, I think this would be a very iffy situation.
That's called prostitution. That's what it's called. Once you're over that little hump, you're into, I mean, she's phenomenal, and the kid was phenomenal. Everybody in it is really good.
It was a great, a very enjoyable rom-com.
But you're right. Think about it. That could have been a terrible movie, given the terrible premise.
Right. It's how you do it.
It's how you do it is more important.
Yeah, absolutely. I have a thing that we do with the question time, which I'm going to skip over because we've been so verbose and chatty. We're not going to do question time. We're going to skip right to listener mail.
Oh, I like that.
Now it's time for listener mail.
So I get listener mail, and I want people to, I desperately need your listeners, the three of you. I need you to send in your questions to me and my guests, and it's dbawjaykogen at gmail.com. It's cumbersome, but worth it. And send me your questions so that we can help you with your question of life. So Rachel asks, how do you know when a connection has made the I'll help you move phase, which is arguably the greatest measure of a friendship?
First of all, this is a young person's question because I'm not helping anybody move.
I don't know.
I would sooner write a check than help you move.
Right.
Here are people who do this professionally. Here you go.
But what if
kids?
Right. What if I called you and I said, I have these precious items that I have to move. I don't trust a mover.
Yes.
And I want my friends to help me because they know how important these things are.
Yes.
And I will have 5 of my great friends come. It'll be fun. And you'll come 2 hours. You're going to help move something into my U-Haul truck.
Yes. I'm very sorry. My back hurts.
Okay. All right. There's nothing I could do to get you there.
I swear to God, I love you. Here's some money to make this problem go away.
I can't do it with money.
I'm sorry.
I need
I'm no use to you.
What if
I'm
I
very
call
sorry.
Monica?
But when you're done, if you want a place to eat, let's talk.
I call Monica and say, I really need Phil.
She would do it. She would do it. She's a better person than you. She's a better person.
She's a better person.
I'm saying it on the air.
By the way, my wife sends her deep love to you and your wife.
Oh,
and she doesn't say that.
I hardly ever see her.
I know. She loves
her,
you.
You keep her in a ditch in the basement.
There's something about women who seem to like being at home.
My wife is one of those.
She just likes being at home.
Yeah.
And so people think they don't like.
Like when we go to dinner.
Yeah.
My wife's like, go have fun.
Right.
She wants to go with the people she knows. I understand that.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
once in a while.
Yeah, come out once in a while.
And every time she does, she loves it. But there's something there.
Yeah, it's like they're nesting. I don't know what it is.
Let's try to fix them on the next episode.
It is true. All right. So yes, your wife is a very nice person.
So
delightful.
So's yours.
My wife's pretty good. Pretty good. I'll take it.
But I'm not helping you move.
That's all
but
right.
but the person is asking, how do you know when it's
Right.
the only way to know that is to test the waters and say first, hey, you busy Saturday?
Right.
And then I need some help moving. And that Jack Benny pause that you get is going to tell you everything.
Well, I think
or
what
they're
you
gonna
just said is very wise.
Yes.
Because it's not knowing that a person is connected to you, it's asking a person to be connected with you. In
Yes.
other words, is reaching out. Connections are only formed when people reach out. That's
Yes.
the only time. So Rachel can't wait and find out if this person is close enough to ask a great favor of.
Right.
If Rachel needs a favor, she's got to ask.
The fact that Rachel is asking us means she doesn't have the relationship that she wants with the person that she would ask to help move.
Maybe she's just a little shy and not
afraid
willing
to ask.
Not willing
There's
to.
only
reach out.
one way to know, Rachel.
Exactly. She's got to reach out. So that's how you know when you have a
Exactly.
friend, a true friend.
If it's your boyfriend and he doesn't help you move,
Right.
you need a new boyfriend.
Right. Well, that's true too. But I mean, it's like this is a friendship connection
Yes.
thing. So I don't know if it's that kind of.
But moving or ride to the airport,
Ride to the airport.
especially LAX now,
Yeah.
this is a big thing to
I will
ask.
give a ride to the airport.
You're very nice. I
Every
will.
time.
I will do that. I can't pick up someone at the airport though.
I do. I pick
You're
up
nice.
and I ride. Anytime we have relatives come in, they say, "Well, I'll Uber." I say, "No, I'm going to come pick you up."
I'll send the biggest limousine you want, whatever you want.
Yeah,
There'll be food in the limo.
Shut
There's
up,
gonna be.
Rosenthal. You got to throw money at it.
Listen.
Not love. Where's your heart?
That's love.
That's not
That's
love.
my form of love.
That's not love. That's not love. Venmo is not a love language.
It is.
Okay, I
You
disagree.
ask the kids.
I disagree. Right. All right. Well, I think this.
Listen, we're old now. We're allowed. We're allowed to say no. I would have done. By the way, when I was in my 20s and I had
Yeah.
of course I did it. I did
Right.
for everybody.
Right.
Anyone that asks.
Yeah, I'm not that old. I'm not that old.
I am. I'm older than you.
I'm going to go to the. You're not. What are you?
When we were picketing, we're picketing. You know, they're like, we want you to. What were the hours? 4 hours shift.
9 to 1 or
Yeah.
something. Yeah.
After an hour, I'm bye. Because why?
Right.
Because I'm old now.
All right.
And I've been to my third strike
I think you are taking advantage
of the old.
I
play the old
that you're
card.
playing the old card, which you don't need to play. You got
do.
you're on a treadmill. You
do.
run. You're
Yes.
physically fit.
Yes.
You travel all over the world.
I'm on the elliptical so much I have no energy for your strike.
It's just laziness. That's just you being lazy.
True.
And rich.
I agree with you.
Talking me entitled. This is the whole reason why I feel bad about entitled people.
I'm one of them.
All right. So anyway, I'd like to thank my guest.
You should.
Phil
Always
Rosenthal.
thank you. Thank you, Jay. Thank
Phil-
you, Ryan.
You are a delight, as always.
You too.
I enjoy talking to you, and I'm really grateful that you're a friend of mine.
Me too.
And thank you for being here. Really appreciate it.
I love a fella named Jay Kogan.
And I want to thank I'm trying to think of a name for the listeners. What are the name of the listeners of your Naked Lunchers? What do you
Ooh,
call them?
I don't call them anything.
I call them
That's
Debot Jerkers.
Oh,
'Cause
that sounds dirty.
It's terrible, right? Hey, dear Debot Jerkers, thanks for listening. No?
Coconuts
Coconuts. Hey, Coconuts.
or coconuts?
Coconuts. But it's so narcissistic to be called
Coconuts.
Coconut. Hey, Coconuts. Dear
That's
Coconuts.
cute.
Thank you for listening. I'm going to talk to hey, dear Coconut. Thank you for listening and spending time with us and spending time with me. Now go into the world and do what Phil says. Share something. Do something for somebody else.
Be nice.
Be nice to somebody. That is, no matter what your situation in life, it is going to make you feel better. I'm
Yes.
not just saying that.
No, it's true. When you think you have problems,
right.
go help somebody else.
The best way to get out of
That's
any
true.
depression is to help other people.
That's
So
right.
do something for somebody else and then tell me about it. Share it with me. I would love to hear about it. And thank you. And I hope you join me next time. And remember, there's a great big world out there waiting for you. So don't be alone with Jay Kogan. No, just don't be alone. Okay.